Alright, peace and greetings, YouTubers. Oh, Raven Symone, why? Why? I'm telling, like, overall color purple, why? Like, I'm telling you, me and Raven been so tight for the longest. Since Cosby Show, Dr. Doolittle, hanging with Mr. Cooper, that's so Raven. Me and Raven been like this. I really like her. So when I was watching this interview, and I was like, oh, this is such a great interview. She's such a great person. She's so well-rounded. It's just fun to get to know. I really like her. And she's the only person that does not look like a hood rat with green and purple hair. I'm loving it. And then, man, we got to the portion about what to identify her as. When she said that bit about don't label me as African-American, I said, oh, what? No. And then I was like, well, maybe she's going to go somewhere with this. Maybe her explanation is going to be so profound and so deep that it's going to come back full circle, and I'm going to be running around talking about, don't label me African-American. But when she gave the explanation, I was like, no. I thought you were one of the good ones. I swear, I don't know how many of these videos I will make on my channel, because I swear, I can't ever make the fun videos, because I always got to come back to this type of nonsense and address that. So, Raven Symone, let's get into it. I really like Raven Symone. She's a really nice person. But anyway, so they're doing an interview, and she says the bit about, well, don't label me African-American. I want to be labeled as American because I identify with all types of groups of people, shapes, sizes, races, cultures, Asian, Latino, Indian, all that. I identify with everything, and I just want to be called American. And I was looking at her halfway, so I was like, I hope I'm just, I was on some medication because I had a cold. I'm like, maybe it's the medicine. Maybe I ain't hearing this right. Let me rewind that TV, make sure I heard this correctly. I'm already paying all this money for this cable. Let me rewind this thing. So I had to play it again, and she said it again. And I'm like, oh, Lord. This is about as bad as that time Bush did the State of the Union, and he had the nerve to address freaking steroids in baseball. What? We got a war, and you talking about baseball? Okay, so anyway, Raven, she says that bit, and I'm like, okay, Raven, in an ideal world where race and color would never matter and people were not separated and put in a social caste by their race and everybody had an equal playing field, equal opportunity, and we literally just saw each other as human beings, which is what she wanted to be seen as, I was like, that's a beautiful perspective. That's a beautiful Eureka's Castle type way of seeing the world. Unfortunately, in this day and age, and as long as we've been on the planet, we've always been separated and divided by our races and everything. And not to try to make it seem like we're separatists, everybody needs to be separate, but the entire way that society is constructed, it's built upon racial and social constructs, and it's built upon, different ethnic groups and different titles and backgrounds and classifications. That's how society's always been. So even though you would like to be seen as human, in your world, that works. However, from everyone looking outside in, before you're Raven Symone, you're probably a black woman, all right, or an African-American woman, whatever you would like to be called. I guess not either of those. So I was kind of like, wow, I don't know. And I didn't know if maybe it was just she doesn't like the idea of African-American, because Whoopi Goldberg made a really interesting statement one time when she was saying, well, why is it that, we have to be African-Americans or Latino-Americans or Asian-Americans, but white people are just Americans? And I was like, well, maybe she's going that way and she would rather just like to be called black. But she didn't say that. She's like, no, just call me American. And, I think at the end of the day, Raven kind of has nationalities and ethnicities mixed or intertwined together. And I think there's two different things. American is a nationality, but within your American existence, there is an ethnicity or an ethnic group that you belong to. And I think that's where she kind of dropped the balls. She just jumped straight into the Eureka's Castle utopia cloud, and I'm like, well, that cloud has to rain down, and you're gonna come back down as one of the ethnic groups. So what you want to be? So when we talk about ethnicity versus nationality, here we go. So American is, that's the nationality. That's the, we're all American. When the Olympics go on, it doesn't matter what race you are, as long as you got that flag, we gonna cheer for you. But best believe when you get back on the plane and get back over here, stuff go down, you get pulled over. That flag, you can bring that flag out all you want. Now, hold up, all right? Now we got to break you down by your ethnic group. And so, ethnicity is more so the actual ethnic group that you belong to. That gives you your genealogical features, your skin color, the shape of your nose, the shape of your head, even the speaking voice you have. All of your different physical traits, that comes from your ethnic group. Nationality is that's just some borders drawn, all right? That, like, if you look at the continent of Africa, all those different countries were not real countries until Europeans came over there and drew the maps. Before then, it was a bunch of different ethnic groups living there, and Europe came and colonized and drew borders and said, well, now all you people are going to live together and y'all are a country, whether y'all like each other or not. So, hey, Congo, I know y'all fighting and killing each other over there, but we just boxed y'all all in and made y'all live together under the same government, so you should get along now. You know, that's literally how that works. So when we talk about ethnicity versus nationality, this is how it looks. You can try to say that you're just American and that's all you want to be classified as, but I feel like there's nothing wrong with titles and being classified within, you know, those different groups. Because let's say I have my son goes missing or something. All right, when I have to give a description of what my son looks like to the police, I can't sit there and be like, oh well, he's American and he has American colored hair and American colored eyes, American colored skin, American features and American lips. You know, because at the end of the day, American is a nationality. It's not an ethnicity, and I feel like those different titles, it makes us, you know, it's easier to identify us. And I know that kind of sounds a little weird, like people are creeping and following us and watching what we do, but, you know, those titles and stuff are there for a reason. And as long as we've been around, that's how the way things have always just been that way. Come on, Raven. And then somebody was asking, like, well, I think she's a new black. And I'm like, okay, there's that new black conversation. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just see my new black video, because I'm not going to talk about it on this video. But, you know, it's just, I think another thing that Raven forgets about is that, you know, people are so gung-ho about not trying to fall into a race, well, that people forget that race also brings about culture. And all these different races and ethnic groups that live around the world have developed cultures specific to their race. So when you talk about Black Americans or African Americans or black people, whatever y'all want to call yourselves, you know, we can't even agree on what we want to call ourselves, depending on what day of the week it is. You know, we have a culture that we've developed from being around each other and basically just, you know, identifying with ourselves as a group. Same thing with Asians, same thing with the Latino community, so on and so on. When you have different groups of people that are concentrated together, they develop different cultures. So sometimes when you're talking about, well, I don't want to be identified as African American, I don't want to be labeled as this, it's like it's a slap in the face to your own culture sometimes. I understand that you want to just be a human, but all humans are different. There's 7 billion of us. If that were the case, if we were just all humans and everybody just had the same ideology and everything was just the equal playing field, I don't understand why we would have wars. I don't know why different groups of people would have different ideologies. We'd all just be the same. We're all just humans. So, you know, and honestly, human is a freaking title. That's a label. So I'm like, where are you going with that? And somebody had asked me, going back to what Whoopi had said, like, well, you know, Whoopi has a point. Why is it that, you know, blacks have to be labeled as African Americans and Asians as Asian Americans, Latinos as Latino Americans, but how come whites aren't called European Americans? And I got to thinking, I'm like, it is a good question, but at the same time, I don't think white people would take offense to being called European Americans. Okay, it's more so black people that got a problem being called African Americans, because a lot of black people don't want to be associated with Africa, which is a problem in itself that we really need to address. For some reason, you know, a lot of black people see anything associated with Africa as a terrible thing. And it's not just black people in America, because when you go to the Caribbean and you start trying to remind some of them that, hey, your history goes back to Africa, they get pissed off. No, man, we just always been in paradise as long as we've been in existence. We just showed up here. We wasn't on a ship. And I'm like, okay, all right, you say so. All right, same thing when you go to South America or Central America. Same thing. People that look like, I ain't been to no Africa. I ain't from Africa. No, we just always been here, you know. And I think that comes from basically being conditioned to believe that anything associated with Africa is bad, it's terrible, it's not pleasant, it's disease-ridden, it's uncivilized, it's feral. You know, that's literally what many people have been conditioned to believe about Africa. And not just black people, but just people of all ethnicities. Like, think about something like a game show when you watch Wheel of Fortune. When is the last time you seen them win a trip to Africa? And I'm not talking about South Africa so they can go to Johannesburg Park Zoo and ride the safari. I'm talking about any of them other countries in Africa. Never. You know, they always win a trip to Europe or somewhere in Asia. Oh, you've won a trip to Paris. You won a trip to Florence. You've won a trip to Vienna. You've won a trip to Bangkok. You've won a trip to Jamaica. I've never heard them say, you've won a trip to Togo. What? Can I take the cash prize instead? Is Togo what? Is that in Asia? Wait, that's in West Africa. Oh, okay. I'm excited. I can't wait to go. You know, that's literally how things have always been. And you have, like, it's so funny. We're so conditioned to be distant from Africa. And I'm like, listen, no matter how deep y'all all want to be, or whatever, or how unique everybody wants to be, everybody wants to be so edgy, at the end of the day, when we start tracing our lineage, okay, it's not going to take us to Detroit, Atlanta, or D.C. It's going to go across that Atlantic Ocean in one of them 54 to 58 countries on the continent of Africa, okay? And it's kind of like, I don't know, it's just funny, like, people are so distant from Africa, it just baffles me. And that's another conversation. And, you know, because then we could have a whole 3-hour debate just on whether to be called black or African American. That's an argument in itself. But it's funny, it's just like, it's crazy how we're so conditioned to believe that everything that we come from is inferior, that we have to want to mesh into everything else and not embrace what we come from it or where we come from. It just drives me crazy. Kind of like the black people who, you know, they found out that somebody in their family might be somewhat Native American. So, oh yeah, I'm 175th Cherokee. Look at my grandma's portrait. She got 2 braids in the picture. And I'm like, you're from Detroit, okay? Your whole family from Detroit. That's not even Cherokee Nation over there. Y'all ain't even in the same region, all right? Let me stop. I'm not doing that today. Anyway, and I could be like, listen, Cherokee Nation also don't want y'all as a part of anything associated with them. Now, they got reparations and everything. They're trying to make sure y'all don't get any of those benefits. So you and your 175th, you go on the Cherokee line and see if they give you a check. But, it's just a conversation that needs to be had. I don't know. I have so many opinions and I'm just rambling, but I don't know. Share your thoughts about this. You know, am I doing too much? Is Raven, does she have a point? Does she, I don't know. Just what are your thoughts? And like I said in my new black video, at the end of the day, society sees everyone through the lens of race and color and just different perspectives. It's not, there's no such thing as just a human race, because otherwise we're divided already. Okay, at the end of the day, if the world were to end and they had some spaceships going to Mars and they had all of us lining up by race to get on our spaceship, Raven, no matter what, there's not going to be a human ship, okay? I said it's going to be by race, so you're going to have to get on one of them ships. And at the end of the day, you're going to have to get in the black line with the rest of us to get on the black ship. Pharrell, same thing to you. And unfortunately, as I said, they probably make sure that our ship doesn't have some gas or oil in it, and our ship probably won't even make it off the planet. But, whatever. Anyway, subscribe, share your 2 cents. I would like to kind of hear what you guys think about this. She's getting a lot of backlash, a lot of hate mail. I think some of it isn't really warranted. Some people are just doing too much. And I don't know, in order to teach, you can't really piss people off and turn them and tell them that they're idiots. That doesn't help anything, you know, because she's not an idiot. She's far from one. Anyway, subscribe. I'm out.